Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 54 units of real estate. So as I was kind of reflecting on my financial freedom journey with my wife, as I do when we go on our after dinner walks, it's been pretty game changing for me to do these after dinner walks because it helps you digest, number one, makes you feel less bloated, number two, and number three is that it helps your muscles use up some of the carbohydrates that you had so you don't store it as fat. So it's a great way, and it helps with your bowel movements. But for me, it's just a way to spend time with my wife and a way to clear my mind and to get some fresh air, right? So it's a multiple wins all around, and it's been a habit that we've been pretty consistent on. Like if we don't go to the gym after dinner, we'll typically go for a walk, and we typically alternate those two. So it's kind of a side life hack that I've been doing recently that's had pretty good results for me. So maybe you can consider, adopting something similar to what I'm doing, right? Because I don't wake up early enough to work out. I have to work out after dinner. But there's some pros and cons to that. Sometimes you don't want to be overstimulated before you're gonna go to bed, and the gym definitely does that. But for me, it's the only time that works for me to work out. So you gotta do what you gotta do, right? So it was kind of interesting, talking to my wife and reflecting. And we're both overall pretty frugal people. I'd probably say my wife is more frugal than me. Like for me, I will spend money a lot on investments and self-education, and my wife just barely spends money at all, if I'm being honest. And I think it's kind of, these habits are picking up from our parents. So like my parents, they were humble, but they would spend money here and there for the right things. I never felt deprived. Like if I asked for a Game Boy as a kid, eventually I'd get a Game Boy. If I asked for like an N64, maybe I'd get it for Christmas. So it was never like a no. But for my wife, from what I kind of heard secondhand, was like for anything that she wanted, like if she wanted a Game Boy, automatically the answer would be no. And I think there's a sense of like guilt around spending money, and a guilt of like having luxuries. And I kind of see it sometimes, with my wife, where I'll be like, okay, like hey, there's a whatever, let's say I'm on Facebook and so many freaking advertisements on Facebook, and they know I like going to concerts. So they'll be like, hey, there's a Bruno Mars concert sometime in October, and it's like $250 for some nosebleed seats in SoFi Stadium. And I asked my wife, I was like, okay, I like Bruno Mars. I think he's pretty good. The Michael Jackson of maybe my era. But like it's nosebleeds. I've been to SoFi before. Most of the time you can't even see the artist. You're typically going to be just watching the screen, and you're just more the vibe, the ambiance. And I just said, hey, do you want to see Bruno Mars? And then she was just like, no, it's not worth like $500. And then in my mind, I'm like, well, part of me thinks of it two ways. The part of me wanting to experience things in life, and it's I probably just need to go to one Bruno Mars concert, and I'm good for the most part. Being honest, I'm like, well, it's $250 each, and that's $500 total. So if you factor in like parking or the Uber, it's probably like another $100. Food, so it's a $600 day. And like it's a cool experience. We might go, and it's probably gonna feel good, cool. Best case. Worst case is like, oh, it's a little bit overrated, or we can't see because the seats aren't that great, right? So it's those two outcomes. I've been to enough concerts to know, right? Like I went to a Blackpink concert, and it was cool. And then I went to a Linkin Park concert, and I felt that the vibe was cooler in that one, being honest. Maybe because it was an older audience versus Blackpink, it's a younger audience there. And I was just like, well, the experiential side is like, well, I can try it, and then it can either feel good or not good, and then we don't have to do it again, or if we like it, you can do it again, right? Maybe get closer seats. So I said, oh, why not try? And then my wife's like, well, like it doesn't seem worth $250. Maybe she doesn't like, Bruno Mars that much. And she's just like, well, I'm kind of over the concert phase of my life. To be fair, she's more into, like EDM music, electronic dance music, and we are going to Coachella this year, so we do have a nice concert lined up, and maybe that's more value based. So I was just like, well, like we don't go to many, like we can afford it. So, I'm not super excited to do it either. And perks of living in LA is like everyone does a tour in LA at one point, right? So, whoever you want to see, you can see. But like it's kind of funny thinking about that. I'm like, well, part of me is like, well, I can afford it, and the other part of me is like, well, is it the best use of your value, right? Because like at this phase, yes, we can afford it, but how we're thinking is, well, that's $500 that we can allocate towards, let's say, paying off our primary residence, right? So we're weighing, I'm projecting, I think my wife's weighing, okay, what's more valuable to her right now? Is it having a paid off house, or working towards paying off a house, or going to a concert that she's kind of meh about, right? So, and I think at that point, the value is more towards paying off the house. And I just said, well, I was like, and then in my mind, I rephrased it. I'm like, well, would you rather reallocate that $500 to go on like a little mini vacation somewhere? And I kind of sensed that she didn't say no immediately. And my wife doesn't say no immediately. That usually means she's intrigued by that prospect. So I was like, okay. So basically, a concert isn't worth it value-wise for $500. She'd rather allocate that towards paying off, our primary residence or investing it. But if it came to like a vacation or travel or a little mini trip, $500 is better spent doing that. So that's why maybe Coachella is perceived as better value, because it's kind of like a 3-day event. We're actually going to do a Tesla car camping, so it's going to be a different experience. When you go to Coachella, hotels are like $600 a night, and you have to like walk to the shuttle line. It takes an hour to get in the shuttle, and then at the end of the day, you have to wait an hour for the shuttle to go home. But if you're camping on the on the main area, you just walk to your campsite, you sleep there. But there's a lot of after concerts going on. There's a lot of people partying after going on. So it's a different vibe, different ambiance. You can't sleep as well. But what's nice about Tesla car camping is that I can set my temperature. So we can fit like probably a twin size mattress behind me. If I drop down my seat, we're gonna have an inflatable mattress. And basically, if it's really hot in the desert, it really varies. It's really hot, really cold. But if it's really hot, I can set camp mode on, so I can maintain the temperature of this car at like 70 degrees, and it usually burns about 1% of battery per hour. So if I'm using it for 12 hours a day, times, so we're gonna be there probably Friday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday after whenever we're gonna leave, we'll probably just drive back. So it's really 2 nights overnight. So we might be there using maybe, let's call it 36 hours of camp mode. So, if we're charged 100% before I enter the campsite, which is my plan, basically I'm gonna probably use about 40% or 50% of my battery in between charging my phone, camp mode, other things. And what's kind of, so I'll have 50%, and then what's kind of cool is like it only costs like $108 to camp for like I think 4 nights, 3 or 4 nights. I think it's like you can camp Thursday night, but we're driving up Friday. You can camp Friday night, which will be there Saturday night, and then Sunday night. I think the main event for Sunday night wasn't that good. I forgot who it was. But like we're like, like we can see how we're feeling. If we're tired, we just go home. If we want to stay, we'll check it out, right? But the artists, I think we didn't really know them that much, so like we're okay. And I think most of our favorite artists were like Friday, Saturday. So we might even sell our Sunday ticket and go home, or we just can check out, for a few hours and then head back, at a decent time, right? So maybe stay till like 7 and take about 3 hours to drive home, and you can kind of beat the traffic doing that. So to this time it's a different experience. We camping in the car. Obviously it's a twin size bed in this car. It's a little bit cramped, but it's a different vibe. And then it's kind of cool that we just can walk there, and then we can like bring our own camp gear. So we can bring some like griddles, a butane stove, we can mix some eggs, some sausage, do some instant noodles for like a meal, and then obviously do the other meal in the campground. It's a little more expensive there. And then what's kind of cool too is like when you car camp, you can kind of bring your own alcohol, right? It just can't be in glass. So, my wife and I don't really drink that much in general, but we could bring some, whatever, some like hard seltzers or some stronger beers that we just can like sip on throughout, Coachella. If you really want to, you could bring some hard alcohol in, but you just have to pour it into like a plastic bottle, right? So if I want some whiskey, that's some stronger stuff, or tequila, just pour it into an empty plastic bottle, and it looks like water. They can't tell. And then, you'll just drink your tequila and enjoy it that way, right? So, last time when we were, staying in a hotel, like by the time we got there, it'd be like 6-7 p.m. But when you camp there, because you stay up late and you get home late, and you're just really tired afterwards. So but if you're there, you're kind of just at the campground, right? So I think things start to open around like 3 to 4, so you can walk over and you can kind of picnic, right? It might be super hot, so you can just like picnic, get a blanket down there, sit in the shade, hopefully, have some type of fan. So it's not crazy. I'm hoping it's not 100 degrees. When I went, like in 2017, in 2021, it was more windy, but like, you just kind of camp there, you chill, and then, whenever your favorite artist is out there, you can get up closer and get the joy and ambiance. But like, I forget how much these tickets cost, but like, that seemed to give more value to at least myself, my wife, in doing that. So like, as you can kind of tell, we're very value-based in terms of how we spend our money. And I get it, like at least in my mind, once I achieve my goal of financial freedom, which is like $15K a month from real estate, $2 million portfolio, index funds, which I'm already close to, and then a paid off primary residence. If I hit those 3 things, pretty much I consider myself financially free. I don't have to really work. If I do work, it's really just me choosing to work. Right now I'm still required to work, unless I just sell a bunch of real estate right now. But like I said, we want to do this over a 5-year plan, but hey, life happens. If I need to pivot, by all means, I'm fine. Give me 3 to 6 months to fix up some rentals, touch it up, and then I'll sell it, and then take the money, pay Uncle Sam, and then do what I need to do, right? If push came to shove and I had to do that, I'd do that, right? So for me, like, we're very value-based, but the moment we hit financial freedom, and I like to call it fat fire, so I paid off primary, $20,000 a month, tax-free income, essentially, and then we can take that money and then basically not have to work. And at that point, I think we should just optimize more for experiences, because for me, I kind of read Die of Zero. I'm not sure if my wife read it yet, but maybe I'll have her read it as well. But like, for me, I'm just like, well, it's $500 worst case. And then you either like it or you don't like it. If you don't like it, we don't have to go to another Bruno Mars concert, right? But I heard he's pretty good live. So, it'd be cool to check it out and to see, but she's not as into concerts. But if it's like, let's say through my work, I got tickets to, a college basketball game, and they cover a lot of the costs, but you have to pay the fee. So it's like, I think like $20 for fees for 2 tickets total. And then like, we could ride the metro there, and we get, kind of significantly discounted metro passes. And it's like not bad, because like, parking's a pain in the butt and traffic's a pain in the butt in LA. So if the metro gets there, it's not bad, right? It's maybe sketchy at night, but during the day, when there's a lot of normal people using it, it feels safer and there's more security now as to prepare for, the Olympics and the World Cup that's happening in LA. So I've seen less homeless, at least the few times I've ridden it. So we kind of use that now to like, explore new areas. But like, she was like, not even into basketball, but she was like, oh, I've never seen a basketball game before. It's only $20. Like, why not try it, right? So, I'm trying to like get my wife to be like, hey, let's just try it. Like, and she like, there's, we live near in LA has a Pantages Theater. Just learned about it. But they have like musicals that happen there, like, Phantom of the Opera, Wicked, Book of Mormon. I was just like, oh, do you want to watch Book of Mormon? It's probably like $60, maybe $70, including fees. And she's like, not really. I don't really like it or understand it. So, she's very like value-based and very intentional how she spends. And I was just like, well, like, it's not that really that much money, to be honest. And like in my mind, I'm like, well, when I'm still working, like you can still spend. And like, like we work hard to like enjoy life and spend money. But I think for her, it's really on food, and probably like vacation is probably like her top 2 experiences. And I think that money stems from, because that's how her parents really like spent money. Like they really spent money on like going on vacations, and then going out to eat, and then everything else was very like slim and lean, right? Like they don't really buy much clothes. They don't really care for like designer purses. I mean, she has, a few nice purses. He doesn't really care for like, nice watches. So that's why I said, your wife can make or break you, right? Like I didn't want to marry a spender who's like going to South Coast Plaza and buying a new bag every week, or has to buy clothes every week. And for me, I want someone that focuses more on experiences. But I get it. There hits a certain point where like, when I'm hit my FU money number, like why not, right? Like if you really like it, just buy it, get the experience out of it. Maybe you enjoy it for a month and then move on, right? So, because I also told my wife, I'm like, okay, like for our house that we're living in, right? Like we hope that this is our forever home. Like I doubt we'll upgrade. Who knows, right? But like right now, it's in a good location. It is a townhouse, so it's 3 floors, so it's not ideal. Like especially if you're older. But like it's a nice area, nice community. We have a gym, we have a pool. It's gated. A lot of people are our age, of like young little kids. So every weekend you walk by the community center, there's always a bunch of kid parties. And it's an interesting, like I'd say like vibe to be there. And the only thing we would do is maybe one day like move to a neighborhood or move into one of my other rentals where it's like all single story, and then it's just easier to like walk around and to be in, right? But in any case, like if we want to stay at this house, the school districts are good, and I think it's the elementary school is good, the middle school, high school are not so good, but I think it's an open enrollment city, so that we can go to a neighboring city, have to drive probably 15 to 20 minutes, which is only like 4 or 5 miles in LA. But if it's open enrollment, those schools are good, right? And I said I don't mind driving 20 minutes to have to avoid going to like some type of private school, because it's I don't really believe in private school, in my opinion. I think it. For me, I think that the best education is the self-education, or the education that happens at home. And so I plan on being very engaged in that front, right? You guys gotta stay hydrated. But in any case, like I just was thinking to my wife, I was like, dude, like we bought a mattress, and it's the same mattress we've been sleeping on for like, at least I've been sleeping on for like 8 years since or 5 years since I moved to Southern California. So I was just like, well, a mattress is a one-time purchase. So like, you just buy a really good mattress one time, and unless you want to upgrade size, you don't really have to buy another mattress. Like a bedroom set. I was telling her, I'm like, when we upgrade our bedroom set for our master bedroom, whatever I have right now, it's just gonna move over to one of the other rooms to be the guest bed, or eventually, when we have kids and they're grown enough, that's their bed that they're gonna sleep on. So it's like a one-time purchase. So like when we buy a bed for ourselves, make sure it's a really good bed that we like, and it's probably gonna be king size. This is a one-time investment, and then you don't have to do it again, right? Unless you just don't like the style of the furniture that you bought. So I'm like, it's a one-time purchase. Like the TVs that we bought, like it for the most part, it's gonna be very rare for us to want to upgrade. It might be there for like 10, 15 years before we feel like upgrading, and then if we do upgrade, it's probably gonna be like less than $1,000, because TVs get cheaper. So like a lot of things that we have in our house, like also like our sofa that we bought, I'm like, it's gonna be a while before we buy a new sofa. Next time we buy a new sofa is probably after, whenever we have kids and they mess up the sofa or they get dirty. But like, it's a rare purchase. So I'm like what can we really buy? And like even like my cars, I'm like, like this Tesla's like about 2 years old. I see myself owning this car for at least 10 years, right? Which is why I'm very tempted to just pay for the $8,000 full self-driving before, you know, they take away the one-time purchase and you're forced to just subscribe. But I don't know, my wife thinks that, you know, with Lucid coming out with full self-driving and Rivian coming out full self-driving, which NVIDIA is helping them with, like, the price just might go down, right, for the full self-driving. So, you know, I'm still debating, but I'm like, I can see myself owning this car for a very long time, and you know, these batteries could go up to 300,000 miles, right? I'm only about like 33K right now, but you know, and it's nice to charge at home. It's free for the most part, and when I go on long trips, I use supercharging. So, you know, I can see myself being in this car for a long time. It's a very comfortable car. The only thing I would like is eventually, you know, the range would be 500 plus miles, probably in like a few years. And at that point, that's the time we might upgrade. If my wife's car, which used to be my old Camry, you know, craps out, then, you know, she'd probably take this car, and I'd probably get a newer EV, whether it's Tesla or something else that has the longer range, right? So we can see this keeping long term. So, like, we're not going to buy a car for a while, and, you know, I think EVs are only going to get cheaper. And this is a nice car because it's like a, you know, mini SUV. You know, so it's taller, it's more comfortable. Like I said, we can camp in here, and then, you know, eventually you get kids or whatnot. It's just a more comfortable car to be in. So, you know, from there, you know, not many things to buy is kind of the moral of the story, right? And, like, we don't really want to upgrade the house, but, like, I was asking, like, my wife, okay, these are the luxuries that, like, we would probably do. Is like, okay, you hire a maid to clean your house, let's say 2 times a month, every 2 weeks, right? And maybe when you have kids, once a week, right? If you want to be more extreme. I think every cleaning at most is going to be like, probably, I think people are getting quoted $50 an hour with 2 people, and it probably takes you about 3 hours to clean the whole house, tops. So it's $150 every single week, right? So that's $600 a month. And let's say you want Tesla full self-driving, it's $100 a month, $700 a month, where I don't have to drive anymore, and I have my house cleaned every week, and, you know, they do my laundry for me every week as well. So, you know, from there, we already have Amazon, but, like, if you have Costco, a hack that people don't know is, like, you know, you don't need to be a Costco member, but, like, if you buy over a certain amount, they'll just ship to your house for free without even being a member. But you have to spend, like, over, I think it was $50, but it's easy to spend over $50 at Costco because they sell everything in bulk, right? So you can have it shipped to you. You don't have to go there. There's, like, grocery delivery services now that they have, right? So, like, you don't even have to go grocery shopping anymore, or Walmart Plus, and you can pay for subscription, and they'll mail it to your house. So, like, you don't even have to pay for this stuff anymore, right? And like, what I described is, like, less than $1,000 a month. And, like, let's say you hate cooking. Like, you could hire a food delivery service where they deliver food to you every single day. My mom used to do that when I was growing up. So, like, you can get food delivered to you every single day, right? And you don't have to worry about cooking, right? So you can go through a season where you're sick of cooking and you just subscribe for, like, you know, a month or so, and then you know, just live your life. But I'm just saying, all of that was, like, let's say under $2,000 a month for, like, all the luxuries that we can think of, right? At that, in terms of, like, making my life easier, right? Like, so, you know, you have a maid come once a week. You have full self-driving, so you can drive, and then you can have all the delivery services delivered to you, right? Amazon, Walmart Plus. You can have food delivered to you if there's a period where you don't want to cook, and then whatever is left over, it's just spending on experiences, travel, if we want to buy other things. So I'm like, we don't need that much money to live a good life. And that's why I know we can retire early, because, like, we are very intentional how we spend. We find thrills in, you know, bargain hunting right now, right? It just brings us thrill and joy. Like, if there's something nice that I want, I'll buy it, right? Like, you know, I just bought myself a new laptop recently, and you know, it was originally $2,000. I saw a sale for, like, $1,200, and then I just bought it. But then now I saw it the same laptop for, like, under $1,000. I'm just like, oh well, you know, like, but, you know, I enjoy the laptop because now we have two, and that one's more mobile. It's slimmer, and the other one is one that's kind of hooked up to my big TV screen, so that we can, you know, watch movies or you know, anime. So it's, not bad. I'm like, there's not much more that we would spend on, right? Like for me, if I was like retired, like, I'm not even a Chargers fan. Well, I can't be a Rams fan because, I'm a 49ers fan. It's the same division. But like, like the Chargers, if I were to watch, it would be probably the Chargers. But they had like standing room only tickets for like, I think it was like 30 or 50 bucks a game for all the home games. But my joke is like, it's $50 for the ticket, but it's $100 to park, right? Unless you take like the bus there or some type of public transit there. So I was just like, you know what? If I like was like retired, I just can do that. But then my problem is my wife doesn't care about football as much, so I need to find someone to do it with. But like, it'd be kind of cool to like, do that and check it out. But like, I'm thinking about, like, we don't need much to live like our life. Yes, we're gonna have kids, and yes, kids are gonna be more expensive with activities. Like they want to do piano or violin or the Asian route, or like taekwondo or some type of sport or swimming lessons and all that. It can be as expensive as you want it to be, or it can be as budget friendly as you want it to be, right? Like I did taekwondo growing up. Don't really remember much. I was a red belt. My sister did ballet. My wife, she did piano, but she barely plays the piano right now, right? I joke, I'm saying, I'm gonna buy you a piano one day and you can play, right? But it's just like these things that, like, does the kid actually like it, or are they just being forced to do it? Hard to know, right? So you just try different things. But for me, I was into tennis, and my dad just bought me a tennis racket. It's under $200 to buy a tennis racket, and then if I like it, great. If you don't, then, well, you just have a $200 racket that you may never use. So kind of funny, just seeing that, like, these things aren't that expensive as you think, right? And what's really nice about LA and why I like living here is you can do a lot of day trips. Like, drive 2-3 hour radius. You can leave early, and then you don't have to do a hotel. Just drive back and then stay at home, right? So like, you can save, you can be frugal in that sense. So like I said, I know that, like, when me and my wife have enough cash flow to retire, like, we can do it because we are very intentional how we spend our money, right? We're very, very intentional in how we spend our money, and we're very value based, and we spend the same way. But like I said, there's gonna be a point where it's just like, oh my God, like we have so much FU money, like just spend on it, like whatever, just give it a try. If you don't like it, whatever, right? Like you said, we can afford the Bruno Mars concert, going full circle. If you don't like the Bruno Mars concert, you don't have to go again. If you like it, you can go again, right? So like, it's just really like, if it was a concert that she liked, so my wife really likes Slander, like, she would have gone, right? Or maybe she didn't like Bruno Mars as much compared to me. And for me, I'm just like, well, why not? Have something planned, have something to look forward to, give you something to look forward to. It feels good, and then you go to a concert, right? So it's kind of interesting with that. So anyway, sorry for that long rant about being frugal and being very intentional how you spend, but just kind of want to share the mindset that you need to have as you're on the wealth building journey, as you're starting to invest in real estate and stocks and trying to hit your FU money number. But then, like, once you hit your FU money number, which I hope to do it in like 3 years to 5 years, you have to start spending at that point, right? Because you might as well have experiences. And like I said, for us, we don't really skimp out when we travel. Like I said, that when we go to Japan again, we're gonna go to some nice restaurants. Whatever we want to do, we'll just do it, right? And fortunately, in Japan, relatively speaking, it's everything's pretty affordable, right? But if we want to do it, we'll do it, right? So like, my most memorable meal in Japan last time was we went to a $7 all-you-can-eat yakiniku barbecue place in Osaka, and like the meat quality is like so good. It's only $7 US. That's insane. So like, and we had a good time doing it, and that's the most memorable meal that I had. So like I said, you can enjoy, whatever. But this time we're gonna go to a nice place, and we're gonna eat at a nice place and really enjoy the experience, right? So, it's gonna be a good time, right? It's gonna be a good time. So like I said, when we travel, we don't really skimp out as much, but like, I guess when we're in LA or at home, we're more budget friendly because we want to allocate the money towards hitting that FU money number, right? and having a paid off house. So, and I think right now Christine's like, well, you know, I'm going to Coachella, so like it's enough concerts for her for a while. So anyways, hopefully you took some nuggets out of this. Hopefully this got you to realize how to be intentional, how you spend your money while you're in your wealth building phase. And then, you know, hopefully it gives you inspiration that, you know, hey, you know, you're gonna hit a point where you're gonna have your every money number, and you know, really be intentional on what you spend on. And if you like concerts, then by all means go to all the concerts. But you know, for us, travel and experiences are probably the number one. So anyways, hopefully you found value. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what questions you have. If you want to join my school community on a free trial, afterwards it's $30 a month, $1 a day. I do live Q&As there. If you want to talk to me directly. If you want to do my multifamily course, I just dropped it to $300. It's a very comprehensive course about multifamily real estate, so please check it out before you go into multifamily. If you want coaching, if you want to use Steadily Landlord Insurance to save money on your insurance, it takes, you know, 2 minutes to punch in your address. And then if you want to use Lending One, who's my preferred lender for investment properties, if you want to send me an email. All the links down below in my link tree. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you every day at 8 a.m. That's when my videos post. All right, thank you so much, and have a good one. Thank you.